you're being watched more than you realize. You know, a lot of times, you know, back in my past, you know, when I used to have social media, because I actually deactivated my personal account, and you know, I still uploaded my content account and everything like that. But back then, you know, I would like to share a lot of my personal achievements. You know, that well, after my first college season, I posted my achievements. You know, my academic awards, my matches, my everything. And I was posting like everything. I didn't post all my matches. I didn't post. I actually only posted twice. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really post anything really. I posted my first college um tournament, which I won my first match and everything like that. So I had a picture of me looking really strong. So that did well for social media. I got a ton of clicks and stuff like that. And then I posted as well me against a duel me against a D1 team. So and that also got a ton of clicks and everything like that, likes, etc. That was the only wrestling things I really posted. But I posted some of my achievements, some of the rankings of my opponents that I wrestled against, and all that type of stuff. And I started noticing, you know, more and more of my people that I knew from my area were watching me. I was like, all right, you know, they must be supporting me. You know, there's a difference between someone like watching you, like, and someone that's supporting you. And that might sound like a little weird. You're like, wait, isn't that the same thing? No, when someone's supporting you, you know, they're bringing you up. But when someone's watching you, like someone's analyzing your moves, making sure to see if you do something wrong, and like, and I started noticing that more and more of my friends, well, people who I thought were my friends, at the current moment right now, I'm gonna be honest, I have zero friends. Like, and like that sounds a little like, oh yeah, like really like a loser and everything like that. I don't know what you're thinking right now, but the point is I don't actually have zero friends. You know, like on like an actual like trustworthy thing, like where I can like trust somebody, I can't trust anybody. You know, actually there's one person that I think I could trust. You know, actually, you know, there is one person. He's a old teammate of mine. So far, I feel like I can trust him. You know, he's been supporting me a lot, especially some reels that you know I open up some deep stuff, which I quickly deleted after a week because I didn't want to put that stuff out there yet. I didn't open up at that deep stuff, but you know he's been liking and supporting all that type of stuff. So maybe I can consider him as a friend. I can come by to his place or whatever, and I don't even know where he lives, but the thing is like I could come by and you know chat it up with them. So I consider maybe him as a real friend, but you know anyone else really I wouldn't really consider because I feel like he's like the only one that's sort of normal nowadays, doesn't do any smoking or anything like that. So I feel like he can be considered normal, but I started noticing like everyone else, you know, was just watching me to see like my failures, like seeing they didn't like who I was, they like what I was producing, you know, like my sport and everything. That's when they started liking, which is weird because I was never like growing up in middle school or anything like that. High school, I didn't even do a sport in middle school. I started in high school, and I wasn't even that good majority of the time. So majority of the time, like people didn't come out to me and start being friends with me because I was good at my sport. They came out to me and liked because of my personality. I was always known as the guy who can talk to anybody and you know was friends with everybody. But I started noticing as because in their head, you know, it was like in their head they like had an image of me of like, oh yeah, he's that guy, you know, who's not good at sports. He's not good at anything, you know. He's not even strong because I could only bench 185 back in high school, like in my senior year, going to my senior year. Like I ended off the summer going to my senior year of the training program at 185 bench press, and my squat was at 220, like back squat. And if you see me now, I'm Zerker squatting like I actually accidentally hit a PR. I know it's the weirdest thing. I don't know how you could accidentally hit a PR, but I'll explain in a second how I accidentally hit a PR. I did a 365 and I hit a new PR there. Which the reason why I hit 365 was I hit 355 before for one rep, but you know I was doing pause at bottom, and this was a couple weeks ago, a month ago I think now. So I probably could do one 355 for more reps. I did 350 for 3 reps. Like I think 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and that felt alright. You know, last rep I was fighting, but I think I got it. But anyways, I was doing 365, like I was just like holding it. I talked about it. I was just walking with it and I was like holding it for a second. And I'm like, my mind was telling me, let's go down. So I went down and like paused for a second and I fully got it. And I re-racked it, no issue. It was light work. And I'm like, so maybe my circle squat PR is a lot higher. Because what I do usually is do 2 to 3 second pause at bottom. I'm going to stop doing that for a while because I started noticing, it started applying pressure to my knees, and my knees started getting hurt. So I must have doing that for a while. I didn't do pause at bottom for too long. When I did 365, my knees were perfectly fine. So I'm gonna start not do that. I'm gonna not do a pause at bottom for a little bit, and then sort of go back to it. Maybe do a 1 second pause at bottom, not do 2 seconds, maybe 1 second. So that I'm not like using momentum, but I don't want to apply too much pressure on my knees. But back to the point, I started noticing a lot of the people that you were following me on social media and everything like that. I had an active account. I had like 3,300 followers. I averaged my story views around 1,000 to 1,400. My last real story view post I ever posted got like 1,600. I had a ton of people watching me and everything like that, but I didn't feel like a single person supported me. And I started noticing this as soon as I started like failing, not failing, but things started going bad in my life, like my wrestling and everything. I got hurt basically. There was like nobody, and all the personal things you've been seeing this year here, I didn't have one person reach out to me, not one. So, it really taught me who my real friends were, which is really good. The fact that I learned this really early, so then I don't have to waste years like looking for validation from people that don't matter. But there's a very few people for me that support me. So that's why it feels like everyone's watching me, because like a lot of people are just analyzing what I'm doing, but they're not supporting. So that's why it feels like to me that everyone's watching. And that could be the same thing in your situation, where a ton of people are analyzing what you're doing, whether it be like, I don't know, schoolwork. I don't know. I don't know what most people do. I really don't know. A lot of people just vape. Don't vape. Don't. This is a waste of money. I don't understand why people do that. Like every single time I would see somebody like a wrestler or anything like that, like who was in my weight class or anything like that, and I saw them at a party, I would always zoom into their hands just to see if they had like a little vape in their hand. And if they did, I'm like, yes, let's go. I'd get so happy. Or like a drink or something, because I'm like, yes, you're actively putting poison in your body, making your reaction, whatever it is, more slower, so I can dominate you. I want that extra. If I'm even getting a 1% advantage, that's all it really takes for me. In my head, like then I'm like more confident. So I get really happy when I see that type of stuff. But or if I just see them in a party setting, who's going to a party and not drinking? I've never been to one, but I'm assuming that's what they do there. So, anyways, the point is that like I do feel like a lot of people are just watching me, which is true, especially because I'm posting my content and I'm having all this like I'm posting my journey and like showing myself daily. So of course I'm gonna get a lot more people watching me, which is a downside of posting, but there's so much benefits, which I'm so grateful for all the people that support. I have people who like actually like me. There's like actual people who actually like me. For if I just post a comment or anything, they'll like it. If I like post like a story like and it's like funny or anything, they'll like it. They'll like anything I do now. And even though it's a small group right now, I don't have a crazy group. That's crazy to have that group, because I never had that group. I never had one person. I don't think I ever had a best friend ever in school or anything like that. Anyone who ever like I really didn't feel like I had like a real like friend. I've never been to anyone's house to like hang out or anything like that. I was always just I knew everyone in school. Like I was always that guy who I knew everybody. I talked to everybody, but never really felt like I had a friend. But I was really good at talking to people. So, I would say the best thing to do is really just get off social media. If I wasn't a wrestler, if I wasn't posting content, I wouldn't have social media. I literally don't. I just post content. That's it. I deactivated my Instagram account. You might be thinking like you might be telling yourself like, oh yeah, I don't want to lose contact from my friends. What are they gonna think? Maybe it's like such a big deal if I deactivate it. Like I was the only college wrestler in my area, from a high school of 2,000 kids. A lot of people were watching me back then. I deactivated it. I talked about my huge following, my story thing. I deactivated it. And it's not a big deal. I deactivate, it's not like anything like crazy, You can do it, It's your friends. So what? Everyone used to look at my profile all the time. Now, I don't know what they're doing. But, get off social media. There's no need for it. You don't need to look at other people's profiles. It's literally damaging your head. It's poison. Get off that app, You don't need social media, unless you're doing something where it's benefiting. Like I'm posting, I'm creating. That's why I have social media, All I do all day is just think about things to create, and then I create, I don't ever use it. And if people are watching me, that's even better because the more they watch my content, the more eyes is on me, my higher my watch time is, my higher my retention is. So I actually want people watching, but it does get me a little anxious at times, especially, being in the position I'm in, because there's so much people in my area that watch everything I do. I don't think they watch the long form videos. I would heavily doubt that. If you are, like, just shoot me a DM or something. I don't have anyone that texts me, so that would be absolutely amazing. But just just focus on improving yourself every single day. Track everything you do, and figure out a way to improve yourself. That's all that really matters. Let's say, for example, you jog 1.1 miles yesterday. Today, jog 1.1111. Even just a slight increase. And if you slightly increase every single day, in like a year, you like increase like crazy. You increase by over like, I don't even know how much, like 36 miles. I don't even know. But every single day, look for something to improve yourself. And that's all that really matters. Never let anyone get in your head.